very educated out here, Mr. Speaker. It needs to start with us as leaders, Mr. Speaker. The issue of too much politicking, too much of chest thumping is not going to help us. We need to offer leadership. At this point, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. We are all Kenyans. That is the common denominator. We don't want to look back and start seeing ourselves like where Haiti is seeing itself today. Countries like Sudan, Mr. Speaker. This is our country. When we stand here and we are voting today for the allocation of the 415 billion to these counties, Mr. Speaker, Kenyans expect progress at the devolved level, Mr. Speaker. It is a high time, Mr. Speaker, that we show unity. When a soul is taken away, Mr. Speaker, today it's me, tomorrow it's you. And I don't think there's anything to celebrate. When parents are losing their kids, Mr. Speaker, it's not something to celebrate. When young women are being raped, Mr. Speaker, like we saw what happened, it's not the kind of nation we want, Mr. Speaker. All that is needed is money to be put in its correct use. Our mandate is for the county governments. And as a committee of finance, we've tried our best. Governors, do not let us down. Achieve the goals of the devolved government today. It is not about who has how many goons. That is not the country we want. And I want to tell my colleagues, leaders, we are not the ones who are safe. We are continuing to create a gap between the politicians and the citizens. Because what you are seeing today that is happening, the whole blame is coming to the leadership, including us, Mr. Speaker. It is a high time, Mr. Speaker. We just know that at the end of the day, this is our country. At the end of the day, these are our young people. They are growing. They are growing, they've experienced, they've tested the waters. There needs to be financial progress, economic progress, Mr. Speaker. Us as a Senate, we've done our part. Let the county governments do their part. National Assembly oversights the executive. Let them do their part. And everyone does their part. We'll continue enjoying the fruits of our 2010 Constitution, Mr. Speaker. The 12 counties, Mr. Speaker, through the formula, that through my committee, through the chair, and I had him table the same, it has enabled the 12 counties be able to benefit with the 4.46 billion, Mr. Speaker. Can we appreciate what has been given? Can the counties' governments appreciate? Can they increase their own source revenue with the aim and target of ensuring that they reduce the pending bills? And I believe through this, Mr. Speaker, we are going to ensure economically our people are sorted, Mr. Speaker. With those few and many, I support.
Senator Abbas. Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I also want to join my colleagues to support the report of the mediation team. Honorable Speaker, I think these are very commendable work. However, having said that, it's a very unfortunate situation. Every financial year, we're going for mediation. And this is a constitutional right for all counties and the people of Kenya. But the unfortunate thing is that the National Assembly, our colleagues in the National Assembly, have taken these budget issues as part of their property and their responsibility. We know most of the members who are in the committee of budget in the National Assembly have a special budget money that they receive for their constituencies, which is illegal actually by itself. Honorable Speaker, the budget now we are using, and we're almost actually begging, for us to be given money to the counties, is the one that has been audited, the audit account of 21-22. 4 years down the line, we are still using the same old budget, audited account. And the Auditor General has done it up to 2024. And therefore, we need to change this business of taking, basing on our equipment shares on 4 years, 3 years backwards. So at least the counties can be able to get their money. Honorable Speaker, I want to also commend the members for understanding that the 12 counties that have been receiving less money for giving them an affirmative action. However, I can see Lamu, which is actually one of our most expensive county in terms of tourism, is still getting 3.8 billion. I think as much as we say that county is small, but actually it's very important. It has a strategic position in this case, country's tourism sector. And therefore, I think we need to have a baseline. Despite giving them, each one getting 371.6, Lamu still is receiving very low budget. And I think we will need to look, especially in the current budget, where the reality can be added for Lamu. Honorable Speaker, counties are also receiving equalization funds. They are getting additional funds from donors and grants from donors and loans. In my county, we're getting about 10.5 billion, 10.6, no, 10.5, Honorable Speaker. With the CARA and with whatever is coming from the donors and loans, it's going to be about 12 billion shillings. This is, I think, that can make a wonderful development for the country. But when you look at being the chair of the devolution, Honorable Speaker, the amount of money that is being used for currency is unbelievable. That less money goes to development. Most of the counties, there are counties that are spending less than even 10% for development. And therefore, if this will continue, then we will not reach far. We'll be, this Senate House, the striking hard. We were every day talking to the budget increased. But this, whatever increase is being given, must be commensurate to development. All this money that has been increased now should go to development. So at least the people can be able to appreciate that counties are now realizing development. But what is happening is that the money is being used for recurrent issues. Even some of the budgets for development is actually, they do this supplementary after they pass through the assemblies, and again being taken to recurrence, which is actually prohibited. That should not happen. Honorable Speaker, I want to request the Committee of Finance to review the BVM Act. Because if this House, every day we're struggling to give money to the counties, and we cannot control it again, then it's actually, we're doing a futile undertakings. Because if this same money cannot be controlled by this House, and it cannot be justified, because every time, if you look at the audit reports that come from the counties, it's so worrying. Our Committee of Park and Pick, every day there are meetings. But of course, we have no authority to take action. You have been seeing the other day, the senator for Isolo was making a lot of concerns, taking concerns, making noise. But we could not even stop one budget for proper use of the money. So I think I will request this House to review the BVM Act, so at least we can have a way we can be able to control the use of funds, because a lot of money is being actually wasted for other purposes. The governors have taken this money as part of their properties. This is tax-based money. Therefore, we must come up with a budget, with a system, that there should be a proper check and balances. The auditor is giving the report, but we cannot take any action. So this House should be able to have a way to say no money for county A or county B, because of how they have used their money, based on the auditor report. Honorable Speaker, the county has also been given money, the RLMF money for roads. I think it's 3 point something billion. So if you look at the entire things, counties are getting at least good money now. However, that doesn't mean that they don't deserve more money. One other thing, Honorable Speaker, people, the on-source resources is actually minimal again. There are no efforts being made by the counties. They're only relying on the equitable shares, and that should not happen. I think the next budget should include a certain percent for every county to at least raise their own resources. Because the OSR that they collect is again being used without any accountability. And therefore, the counties collect a lot of money. So in the next budgeting, the OSR, the on-source resource funds, must be accounted for, so that this can be part of their budget. Honorable Speaker, the most unfortunate thing is we have a huge budget that is going to national government still for developed functions, especially in the Ministry of Livestock, Agriculture, Water. There are 18 parastatals that have been devolved. Their functions have been devolved, and already it has gone through the cabinet memos have been issued. Some of them are supposed to be dissolved, some of them are supposed to be merged, but up to now, action has not been taken. And I'm sure the same institution now will be receiving again their budget. Instead of taking that money back to counties, the national government is still clicking on the same institutions that the cabinet memo has been given. And therefore, I think those budgets will be returned back to the counties. Honorable Speaker, one other thing which is hurting the economy of the people of the counties is the bendy bills. Honorable Speaker, there be no bendy bills, because if money is being appropriated, the only time maybe a county should have a bendy bill is maybe toward the end of the period before the election years. But we're having the budget, the bendy bills are increasing gradually. And then the money is already available. What the counties are doing is they're doing budgets, they have development funds, they have recurrent funds, and then always money is being used for development, and it's not paid in right time. My own county today, we're saying it is between 5 to 7 billion. And I don't see why that much will be there by this time. I expect that money to be released gradually. As every year, financial year, that money should be able to reduce, but it's increasing instead. Honorable Speaker, many Kenyans have lost their money. Many Kenyans cannot even vent for their children. Many Kenyans have closed their business because many bills are not being paid by the counties. Therefore, we want this House, this Senate must help the Kenyans who have lost their properties, who have lost their money, who have been, they are the mercy of the governors. Governors don't even care about it now this time. There are so many. One county alone has 146 stall projects, Mr. Speaker. 146 stall projects. I don't understand how. Why should you be having 146 stall projects in a county? Why do you want to do things haphazardly? If you cannot complete it, then you don't need to do it. To construct any infrastructure. So, for Honorable Speaker, as much as we appreciate that the county must be given money, there's a lot of unbelievable use of leverage of money and planned development, bendy bills, huge bendy bills, and I think I'll request this House that we must come up with actionable plans that we can be able to save Kenyans who are losing their money, who are losing their properties, who cannot get their money, and who are going hungry today because they cannot afford to pay take care of their families. With those few remarks, I wish beg to support the bill. Thank you so much.
Senator Olekina.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, when I walked in here, my first instincts were to oppose this mediated version of division of revenue between the national government and the county governments. But in our culture, we normally say, don't fight me before you speak to me. So I took the liberty, Mr. Speaker, to go and engage with the chair of Finance and Budget of the Senate to be able to understand the reasoning behind them accepting to deviate from, number one, the 465 billion that this Senate had passed, and number two, from the position that we had taken in the agreement between the party of ODM and the UDA in terms of working together, which was to be able to send 450 billion into our counties. Mr. Speaker, one of the things that the chair shared with me is a reality that in most cases, even the money which is allocated to the national government, that money is only good on paper, but in reality, that money is never there. And what I can see from the mediated version is that the national government will keep about 2.3 trillion shillings, while the county governments will take about 415 billion. The reality is that in most cases, you will find that, Mr. Speaker, the money which is allocated to national government, it is only good on paper, but the reality is that it's followed by several supplementary budgets that are never met. This is the reason why, Mr. Speaker, we have so many unpaid bills, so many pending bills that are yet to be met. Mr. Speaker, if there's one person who is very happy today, it's me. I'm happy because of only one factor when it comes to the issue of budgeting for nation building. This is the only budget in the history of this parliament that has not factored in money from the International Monetary Fund, the IMF. You know, I long for the time that we can be able to build our own source revenue and free ourselves from shackles of the Bretton Woods institutes. I'm one of those people who do not subscribe to their thinking at all. And I'm happy that this budget, the national government, has been able to go down by 200 billion, which they were expecting to get from the IMF. And I wish that IMF do not fund Kenya. It is about time that we learn on how to live within our means. The issue of supplementary budgets is another big monster that one day this country will only grow and develop when we do away with supplementary budgets. You can have paper money, 2.3 trillion, but at the end of the financial year, you don't end up spending that money. You end up having pending bills that will end up killing some of the citizens of your country. Mr. Speaker, let me applaud the mediation committee team from the Senate for taking bold steps. Because, Mr. Speaker, I've been in this Senate now for about 7 years, and I can tell you that this is the single most increment of money that is allocated to county governments since I've been here within a year. I'm wondering, Mr. Speaker, why am I being given time? Thank you. I hope that was not intended. It was just a mistake. Mr. Speaker, getting 28 billion additional from 387 to go to counties is something which is commendable. During the last few years when we were there, when we voted 13 times to be able to agree on a basis of the third formula to share revenue between national government and between the county government, the only amount that we are able to move to is making sure that there is a base of 370 billion. On top of that, the maximum that we're able to get is an additional 17 billion within 5 years to 387. Now, we have moved from 387 to 415 billion. And the difference between the money which is being sent to the county government and the money which is only good on paper for the national government is that it is a reality. 415 billion shall be sent to county governments without undue delay and without any deductions. Now, if you compare apples to apples and you ask yourself, what happens to the 2.3 trillion that is being retained by the national government? The answer is actually in the Division of Revenue Bill, Section 5, where it says when there is a shortfall of any funds to be sent, of any revenue, it shall be borne by the national government. So county governments are guaranteed they will always get their 415 billion. But national government, you will find supplementary budget after supplementary budget, and at the end of the financial year, a lot of projects will not have been done. So this is a win-win for the counties. And these are things that we need to demystify to the citizens who contribute taxes to be able to raise this revenue. These are the facts that we need to be able to demystify for the Generation Z who are out there demanding for their rights, demanding for them to be counted. It is imperative that we now move these demands just from the national government perspective to the county governments. It is imperative that we now try, and this is why I keep on saying, Mr. Speaker, that the only time we will get it right as a nation is if we take that 415 billion that we said we're going to send to the county governments, engage the Gen Zs in constructing our roads, engage the Gen Zs in building our hospitals, in building our schools. If you go to Narok County, Mr. Speaker, Narok County is littered with trillion shillings worth of quarry stones that these Gen Zs can be able to go use and pave all the roads of Narok County. If you go to Kajiado County, Mr. Speaker, when I was growing up, there were floors which used to be made using terrazzo. And then at some point, we became slaves of importing tiles. All of us, Mr. Speaker, I'm sure you seated there, your house is built of tiles. But did you know that Uganda, Tanzania, they import a lot of terrazzo from Kenya? I long for the day when we can say, let us put more taxes on the importations of tiles and all government buildings to go to Kajiado County and harvest the terrazzo and build the floors. Mr. Speaker, if you go to the United States of America, when you enter the airport, you'll find that the entire airport is made out of terrazzo. If you go to the UK, you will find that it's made out of terrazzo. But you go to your airport in Kenya, tiles, and they're all imported. So the day we begin to realign our own existing resources is the day we'll end up having a brighter future, even for the younger generations. If we could then say, because I observed, Mr. Speaker, the youth who are out on the streets the other day, 90% of them were jobless. These are youth who have graduated from high school. Their parents do not have money to take them to university. These are youths who have graduated from the university. They have no jobs. But if we could then look back and have a conversation within ourselves and be realistic, the way this committee on mediation, on the division of revenue, found themselves with no other option but to be realistic, that save for the money that is going to counties, the money which is being retained by the national government may not be reality.
is the day, Mr. Speaker, that we can be able to solve problems. We must be realistic to the fact that all these resources that we are raising locally, the resources that we are saying, the 28 billions that we are now saying, let's send them to counties. When I was engaging with the chair told me something which I thought was leadership. Leadership. That it got to a point where he said, you know what? We are walking out of this mediation. And this, because the National Assembly had said, we cannot move beyond 409 billion. So when they walked, and he said, I will not reconvene. The minimum I want is 420. And the first thing that came to mind is that I remember I was seated here when the media was awash with news that the then governor of Mandera was pushing, funding people so that we make it difficult to ensure that their county does not lose money. When I sat down with him, he said, what we were fighting for at that time is to make sure that there's no county that has been left behind. When he refused to go back to the mediation committee until the money went up, what he said, even if I'm to go and sit and reconvene this meeting, the least I can be able to agree to is by making sure that small counties which have been left behind, West Pokot, I think is one of the small counties, Elgeyo Marakwet is another county, Vihiga County is another county, get affirmative action. So if you guys are not willing to increase money, out of the 4.49 billion that you're saying, that is the only thing you can do. The only way that I can sit here is by realizing that these small counties, and remember, Mr. Speaker, the chairperson is not from Elgeyo Marakwet. It's from a different county. He said, increase the money. Lucky enough, he came down to 415 billion, which took care of the 4.46 billion that was given as an affirmative action to smaller counties. That is leadership. And that is what we need to fight for. And that is the reality that we need to be talking about, Mr. Speaker. So, Mr. Speaker, as I stand here today, I'm quite happy that the Senate, which is the House of Union, these good, distinguished men and women who went there to sit down to discuss, to defend the counties, ensured two things. One, that for a single year, the fund moved to 28 billion. That supported all our county. Mr. Speaker, as you can hear, my voice is not very good because of certain challenges. But I had to come here today to support this because I know that the people of Narok County will be able to get more money during this financial year. I know that the people of Elgeyo Marakwet, with my vote, will be able to get more money. The people of Embu, the people of Tharaka Nithi will be able to be given money. And so as the people who come to Nairobi to try and make a living will also be able to get additional revenue. So, Mr. Speaker, as I support this, I also want to make a few statements based on how we move forward. It is imperative, Mr. Speaker, that we now become cognizant of the danger that we are facing if we continue ignoring the plight of the Generation Z. Generation Z are speaking a language that most of us do not understand. Not because we do not want to understand, but because we choose not to understand. Because most of us have already lined our pockets. Most of us live in manicured mansions. Most of us drive huge cars. I'm sure there's no single senator here who does not drive a car which is less than $70,000 or maybe 10 million shillings. That's a fact. It becomes difficult sometimes for us to understand the problem that the Generation Z are facing. They're not sure of tomorrow. They're not sure of tomorrow. You know, yesterday, Mr. Speaker, I read somewhere, and I was trying to write to respond to it. But I said, you know what, I will drive down to Kajiado to go to Eldam at home off this senior
distinguished gentleman called Atwoli, when he said that it's about time that we move the animals from the Nairobi National Park and move them to Masai Mara so that people can encroach into the national park. When I heard that, I was livid, Mr. Speaker. And I said to myself, good Lord, what has come of this old man? Is it that he does not see the danger caused by rural-urban migration during this time when we in the Senate are fighting to send more money to counties? And it dawned on me that everyone is looking at Nairobi as the only place to run to. So it's about time, Mr. Speaker, that we either engage and really amend the Constitution to empower the Senate more, to empower the counties more, so that we stop this rural-urban migration, or the national government takes a journey of building new cities where people can be going in. But the thought of turning the National Reserve, Nairobi National Park, into a concrete jungle is something we should not be even entertained. So, Mr. Speaker, as I conclude, let me once again appreciate the work of Senator Ali Roba. I have known Ali Roba for quite some time, and I appreciate his diligence, his agility, and dedication to service. Being here, if I was to come here and fight to defeat this, it will not benefit him or me. The reality is that we have to understand the circumstances that we live in. I appreciate the work that you've done in sending 28 billion, additional 28 billion to counties, and I'm quite happy. And I hope that we can continue with this trajectory of making sure that we don't factor in what comes from the Brethren Institutes. If the day we say goodbye to IMF and World Bank is the day we'll begin developing as a nation. Our laws should be and shall be determined by our circumstances, but not other external circumstances that influence the way we make decisions in this country. That is critical. Because if we have to develop legislation, if we have to make laws based on what other jurisdictions or other governments think of, there's no way we'll ever be able to move out of these shackles. I was perplexed, Mr. Speaker, as I sat down, that today I had a young man, actually, there were about 3 of them who applied for visas to go to the United Kingdom. And the decision to award that, and this was through a government-funded program. So the government of Kenya was actually paying to train those people to be able to come back here and support this country. But a decision was made in Pretoria that even if the government is funding you to be able to go to the UK and study and come back and work here, the money that you have in your account is not sufficient to support you, even if that was being paid by the national government. And then they went further by saying, we have seen certain transactions in your bank statement that you've not been able to explain. So now foreign entities are turning themselves into the work of the Auditor General of this country. It is ridiculous. So, Mr. Speaker, as we divide our revenue, let us remain local. Let us encourage on-source revenue. Let us encourage county governments to develop other mechanisms of raising their on-source revenue. Number 2, when we now come up with our foreign policy, it is about time that we also remember that it's a give and take. You know? And this issue, I hope, and I had a conversation with the Foreign Affairs PS about this issue of these young Kenyans being denied visas, on the basis that there was some little 1,000, 5,000 in their account, and maybe they sold tomatoes, or maybe they sold a side hustle that they could not be able to explain. Yet the visa application, Mr. Speaker, did not say, tell us how you make your living. It was about how you're going to support your stay in the UK. So, Mr. Speaker, we must learn how to live within our means. That's number one. We must be proud of our own work. And because I've seen the red light has gone on, let me end by saying, Ali Roba and your team, I salute you, and I will fully support the mediated version of the Division of Revenue Bill. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Very well. Next is Senator Sekirenku.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Let me also take this opportunity to contribute this motion on the equitable share to counties. Honorable Speaker, I want to support this motion and say that this is a great achievement to the mediation committee led by Honorable Senator Ali Roba. And I wanted to say that I think in the history of counties and of the Senate to have increased over 28 billion to counties, I really want to echo this and believe that this money that is going to counties will be used in a proper and prudent manner by governors. Honorable Speaker, this proposal, as indicated before, we have debated in this House where we requested 465 million, CRA coming up with 430, National Assembly and National Treasury coming in with 4 or 5. Within the proposal negotiated amount, we believe that something must have been on the table, and there must be some war between the two committees. Honorable Speaker, it is a time we really want to know what is happening every other financial year, year in, year out. Honorable Speaker, we budget every year, but what is the impact of every financial year? In a scenario where we have functions that have been devolved, like health, agriculture, water, roads, trade, education, but again we don't see monies coming from national government trickling down to counties, because I don't think there is money that is being used yet. In the Ministry of Health, we have a huge amount that is allocated health in national government, yet we are getting a very small percentage in the ministry, in the health sector in counties. What about the rest of the monies that is left in national government? Honorable Speaker, we find national government again leasing equipments to counties. You go to agriculture, we don't see anything being done in counties by national government, yet seems like it is it's a function that is shared between counties and national government. These are things that we really need to think about, Honorable Speaker. Water. Honorable Speaker, you remember that there was a request or a proposal by Kenya Kwanza administration that they will make 1,000 dams every financial year. Honorable Speaker, where are these dams? Yet this money that is going to counties will not be able to make 1,000 dams. Where are the monies that is left in national government? These are questions that we need to ask. As much as we also sent money to counties, we also want to know, because, Honorable Speaker, these functions are functions that have been devolved fully. And we have money, over 3 trillion, left in national government to allocate to each and every department, every ministry, Honorable Speaker. Education is also another mess ministry. We allocate a lot of money. We don't see full scholarship to our students. We don't have free education, as we call it. So we have a lot of challenges, Honorable Speaker, that needs to be discussed. We need to change our policies. We need to change the constitution if that's need be, because we find that we have a very big gap, Honorable Speaker. As we look at the issues where governors need to be prudent to this money that we have sent to them today, Honorable Speaker, the kind of pending bills that is realized in these counties, we don't know why it's coming. We don't know why they increase. There is additional pending bills every financial year. Honorable Speaker, and complete projects in our counties. So we have a lot of problems in our country, yet we allocate money to counties and national government as well. The recurrent, almost of every county, Honorable Speaker, recurrent is consumed completely, such that there is no money to award a staff who have gone for a duty. It is used through salary. It is hardly for us to see a county that has allocated 35% of recurrent. They are almost going to almost 50%. Honorable Speaker, this Senate has a lot of work to make sure that governors use the money that has been allocated to them in a proper way, because most of our people do business in counties, Honorable Speaker, and now they find themselves in trouble. Auctioneers going to each and every person who have done to counties' homes to sell their properties, with a lot of humiliations, stress coming to our business people, traders within our counties, Honorable Speaker. And yet, Honorable Speaker, we have a lot of problems again in the country, using the same money that is going to national government, allocated to national government, going to counties, allocating or even using that money in a wrong way. That is why we have people who can manage to finance chaos in their whole country, Honorable Speaker. We don't believe it is individual money. This must be government money, either from counties or from national government. It is because we are not using the money in a proper way. Honorable Speaker, I want to support this motion by saying that the committee of Mheshimiwa Honorable Ali Roba has done a fantastic job. My county now, I'm proud that we are getting more than 500
450 million, 449 million more. I would really happy to see pending bills being paid, municipalities getting money, development completed. These are the kind and the hope of this house, that governors must use this money in a proper way. To get 8.8 billion, Honorable Speaker. In Kajiado, we're going to see development, pending bills paid, municipalities getting money, completion of projects, Honorable Speaker. It's very key. Honorable Speaker, this is the last year almost of our term, probably because we only have one other financial year. And this other one financial year will be over a year of campaigns and everything. But if governors can really sit down and properly manage this financial year of 2025-2026, that is the only way they will not leave counties in trouble, Honorable Speaker. This is a very important year for development. An interrupted year, financial year, Honorable Speaker. It is important that governors sit down with their management, the executive, and within their county assembly to make sure that this financial year that they've received more money is used within the proper means. Honorable Speaker, I support this motion. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Senator Lenku. Since there is no other senator wishing to contribute, I will call upon the mover to reply.
Mr. Speaker, thank you very much. I beg to reply, and I want to extend, appreciation to the senators who have contributed, considering DORA was extensively debated, and there was a lot of interaction between the committee and the members of the Senate. It's nothing new in terms of engagement other than bringing the information from what transpired within the mediation for us to arrive in both houses at a common figure that is going to inform the vertical share of revenue between the national and county government. Mr. Speaker, even as the Senate tries to push as hard as possible for more money, now looking at what's happening in our country, Mr. Speaker, last year there was demonstration and a lot of destruction. And we want the government to make more money so that we can push for more money for the county government. This year, that demonstration that last year was genuine Gen Z, this year has been packaged differently and into organized crime in the name of, Gen Z, that is, sincerely speaking, a very painful thing. Mr. Speaker, I sit in this Senate and my entire flying career before I joined politics, Mr. Speaker, was in war-torn countries, Chad, South Sudan, Darfur, Somalia, Afghanistan, Congo, Central African Republic. And what I've seen in terms of what anarchy can do to countries and the way some of our politicians have tried to really get, a lot of agitation for anarchy in the country by way of sponsored hooligans in the name of Gen Z, fighting for something they believed is right, and leading to wanton destruction of properties. That will only go a long way in reduction of country's performance, spoiling the country's image, and, the idea of if it is not us, nobody else should run this country. If it's not us, the country should burn. Is a very unfortunate position. So, Mr. Speaker, the Senate is in a very awkward position to push for money, for more money for counties. But the reality of government performance in terms of the fiscal space of collecting money is to be able to be shared vertically between the two levels of government, the situation is only getting from bad to worse. The committee has done its best under the circumstances to try and push for up to 415 billion, which is 28 billion shilling additional over and above 387.425 that was of the last year, where, Mr. Speaker, sir, you co-chaired and mediated to that level. Mr. Speaker, if under the circumstance, the 28 billion shilling is very reasonable. If you consider that is the highest increment in a 5-year period. If you look, the last reasonable adjustment of county government shareable revenue happened in 2020-2021 when the third basis of revenue sharing was being discussed. And at that time, Mr. Speaker, sir, it moved from 316 to 370, which was about 54 billion shilling increase. Between 2021 now to 2025-2026, Mr. Speaker, the 2024-2025, the total increase has marginally just increased from 370 to 387.425. Now, moving from 387.425 to 415 billion, an increase of over 28 billion shilling, is commendable job under the circumstance within the country and the environment we are in, where peace should have contributed to more collection of revenues, and perception within the country in terms of how we are perceived and seen as a nation would have helped in attracting more foreign investment and help us get more sound growth of our revenues. And Mr. Speaker, as I reply, I wish to also thank the Senate for their wisdom to agree with the committee that these smaller counties, about 12 of them, needed some affirmative action within the formula. And the 415 guarantees the position the Senate approved, the 12 counties to get 4.46 billion. Mr. Speaker, I beg to reply and request, pursuant to Standing Order 66.3 of the Senate Standing Orders, that you defer putting of the question to a later date. I thank you, and I reply.
Well, Chair of the committee, I really agree with you, so we defer the putting of the question until the next sitting. So, next order, Clerk.
Order number 9, the Equalization Fund Appropriation Bill, Senate Bills number 7 of 2025, first reading. A bill for an act of parliament to authorize the issue of a sum of money out of the Equalization Fund and its application towards the service of the year ending 30th June 2026, to appropriate that sum for certain public basic services and for connected purposes.
Next order.
Order number 10, the County Government's Additional Allocations number 2 Bill, Senate Bills number 8 of 2025, first reading. A bill for an act of parliament to provide for the additional allocations to county governments for the financial year 2025-2026, the responsibilities of national government and county governments with respect to such allocation and for connect purposes.
Next order.
Order number 11, the County Allocation of Revenue Bill, Senate Bills number 9 of 2025, first reading. A bill for an act of parliament to provide for the equitable allocation of revenue raised nationally among the county governments for the 2025-2026 financial year, the responsibilities of national and county governments pursuant to such allocation, and for connected purposes.
Thank you, Honorable Senators. Today, you remember, was a special sitting, and that comes to the head of our business this afternoon. Honorable Senators, there being no other business on the order paper, the Senate stands adjourned until Tuesday, 8th July 2025 at 2:30 p.m. Thank you.
Google ukiangalia kuna photographer alienda baharini kupiga mpicha. Akienda akakatwa na papa. So integemea ile umeenda unapitia bahari. Kuna mambo mengi unaweza pitia bahari. Kwa mfano pale ferry. Ferry saa nyingine imeleta shida. Engineer anashuka kwa maji, aende akarekebishe pale chini. Either propeller imeshikwa na kamba. Unaweza shuka hata kwa boat. Saa nyingine unaenda kwa bahari na unasimama, captain anasimamisha boti kwa bahari kwa sababu kamba imeshika propeller. Unashuka chini kutoa ile kamba. Bahati mbaya